Hello, everybody. Welcome to Flicker Effect. Really quick before this episode gets started, when we went to record this episode 298, it went on a little long. We recorded for almost 2 hours. So when I was editing, I decided to split it up into two parts. This is part one. In this episode, we talk about season 3 of Stranger Things. We talk about Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and a lot more. If you're looking for our review of Spider-Man Far From Home, you're going to want to check out part 2. In that episode, we share our spoiler-free thoughts, and then later in the episode, we get into a more in-depth spoiler-filled review. So make sure to check that out. In the meantime, though, this is episode 298, part 1. Hello and welcome everybody to Flicker Effect, episode 298. It is Sunday, July 7th, as we're recording this. I'm David Lott. Joining me as always is Bobby Jackson.
Hey, what's up?
Jascha Wilson.
Hey, everybody.
And Michelle Hillard.
Hi, hello.
What's up, guys?
Hey, it's been good.
How's it going?
Everything is lovely over here. We've survived the, 2 or 3 earthquakes, I think we've had.
Ask, yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like,
back to back for a while there. It was back to back and a little sticky there.
Yeah, that's the one that we had yesterday is the one that I really felt. Because that first one, I don't know, I must have been driving or something that I didn't feel the first one. Because a lot of people did. And then there was like an aftershock of that one that I think it was like 4 a.m. It kind of woke me up because it shook a little bit, but it was still pretty minor. But the one yesterday, when anything that lasts longer than it seems like 10 seconds seems like it lasts like 5 minutes or something. So the one yesterday was a little bit longer. Yeah. And it was just kind of that rolling kind of earthquake where everything was sort of like swishing around kind of. And I was just in my room and I was standing up. I just happened to be standing at the time. And when it started, I have like an antenna that's on the top of my TV and it started to move. So I just kind of held my TV as the shaking started. And I was like, okay, this is going on long. If it continues to get a little bit more intense, I'm gonna have to do something more than just hold my TV at this point. So I was just like waiting to see if it would pick up or how long it would last, but it kind of subsided a minute or a couple seconds after that, so it was okay. But yeah, definitely one of the bigger ones I've felt since living here in California.
Yeah, it was a little nerve-wracking. It's not the biggest one that I've ever felt, but I was sitting down watching TV and my immediate reaction was similar to Bobby's. Like, Shannon was in the kitchen and I was sitting there just watching, and I was like, is something moving? Like, it just kind of stopped for a second because it's never a huge jolt, knock on wood, as I say that. It's always just kind of like, a slow rumble of like something moving. So it's like, it could be like, oh, did I get up too fast? Did I, you kind of sway just a little bit. But then I'm looking around and the entire place is starting to shake. And then I look at my TV and I'm like, okay, got to get over there, make sure that thing doesn't fall down. First and foremost, let's make sure that the TV's okay. I kid, but it's like, then we I actually started thinking, it's like, okay, I got to go grab shoes really quickly. If it starts to get really bad, we got to get out of the house or get to the doorway to be prepared, that type of thing.
Right. Yeah, I lived in LA for 2.5 years and I never felt an earthquake. And as a Floridian, there was a part of me that was like, don't get me wrong, I don't want a bad earthquake, but I kind of want to know what it feels like.
Right.
But then I remember even there was a couple times in the office I worked at where, somebody I remember came over to my desk, oh, did you feel that one? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And then it would happen again. And I'm like, I don't know. Am I mistaking these for like large trucks driving by and it's actually earthquakes or something? I'm like, I didn't notice anything, but yeah. Glad you guys are all right. Glad everybody's okay.
Yeah. Glad you guys are good.
It's weird. Like, it takes a lot for it to like be something that you're just like, oh man, that was horrifying. Because people on the East Coast a lot of times I don't think really understand that it's not always, they say it's this, and just maybe it's just because I'm fortunate I haven't necessarily felt or had to deal with the repercussions of a really bad earthquake. I've always seen it on the news and stuff like that near the epicenter of where it's at. And I've never been one to actually have to deal with it.
Right. Well, with that, so this weekend, we will, of course, be talking about Spider-Man Far From Home. I'm sure we're going to spend a decent amount of time on that, but we didn't get to record last week. There's other stuff going on, like Stranger Things dropped this weekend. So we'll talk about some stuff before we get to Spider-Man. First, I want to ask you, Jascha, you went to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge over at Disneyland.
I did.
And I'm curious, how was it?
It was okay.
Yeah?
I don't believe that for even.
Wow.
It is not, that poker face is not working today, buddy.
I was gonna say, like, really? That's it?
Okay.
That's all you got?
All right.
I mean, I figure not everybody loves it. I'm like, maybe Yasha's kind of, I don't know.
Maybe he's like, it's fine. It's just like going to a theme park.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
No, it's so not like going to the theme park. Legitimately, it is like walking into the movie. And that is not an exaggeration. Like a lot of these other lands, they kind of blend or bleed together. You know, there's not that much of a differentiating feeling when you're going from one place to the other and stuff like that. When you walk into Galaxy's Edge, it's like walking legitimately into Star Wars. Like I tried to take photos, but it's like everywhere you looked is like a photo opportunity. Like it's legitimately like walking into, you know, the smuggler's place, and you see the Millennium Falcon docked, and it's just like you're like floored with like everything that you're kind of like surrounded by. It's bizarre and it's interesting and it's fun, and it's just like you're looking around, and some of the stores, like every time you walk into a building, you are legitimately transported into basically what a shop would look like in that world. And Olga's Cantina, it doesn't disappoint in design. They spared no expense to make you feel like you were really in that cantina that Luke and Obi-Wan first walk into. But honestly, that was probably the only thing that I was just like kind of, oh, okay, this is it. Because it's a lot of, and I say that in a sense that it's like it's really hard to like, I don't want to downplay it. Like you don't need to do it. Like I do think it's an experience that everybody should try and do, but it's mostly just drinks. I don't think that they have any food out there. The service was subpar. Like it was really kind of like, it wasn't the greatest, but I mean, they were just like, I'm sure it might've just been because they were just slammed beyond all belief, because they have just, you know, a walking standing room, like basically only type of reservation. Like they have places to sit, and that's for bigger parties. And then they have just places, a ring outside of the standing room of the bar, and then there's a ring at the bar. So it's just like, you know, there's nowhere really to sit unless you're sitting at one of the larger spaces and the outside. It's just drinks. Some of the drinks are really fun. The names of them are really fun. Like Jedi Mind Trick is like one of the names for the drinks. There's an actual drink that you can order that will make your lips numb after drinking it a couple of times. Like it's kind of interesting. I just ordered a beer, and they try to make them very futuristic looking, but the Millennium Falcon in itself, completely mind-blowing and badass. Like you just, for a Star Wars fan, you just kind of stand there and you just kind of look at it and you're just like, wow. Like you're really taken back, like there it is. Like that is surreal. And then the ride itself was fun as well. Like it was entertaining. It's very much in the same breath of Star Tours. If you've ever ridden Star Tours, it's kind of like that, almost exactly like that, actually. They give you, there's 6 people per ride, 2 pilots, 2 gunners, and 2 engineers. And you basically walk into the cockpit of where, you know, Chewie and Han would be sitting. And you guys basically control, to an extent, the ship. Now, it's obviously on its own flight pattern for the show and everything like that, but I do think that there were parts of it, like, you know, if you're driving and you pull up on the ship stick, you will tilt up just a little bit when it comes to, like, moving. So I do think that they give you just a little bit of control, or maybe that's just how it made me feel when I was doing it.
Right.
But
So
David,
you were
you're
the pilot?
I was one of the pilots. Yes,
Okay, cool.
I was one of the pilots. My buddy was a pilot, and then we had 2 people in there that were that we didn't know, and then Shannon and my buddy's girlfriend were engineers.
Okay.
Everybody is interactive. Everybody, like the gunners, always have to press a button to shoot, and then the engineers have some button that they need to press to hyperspeed or do whatever and stuff like that. So it was surreal. Like it was very, very cool. Everybody should really you can walk around that place for hours. And in doing so, pardon me, made the rest of the park completely dead. Like we could walk on to any ride. I think the longest we waited was 45 minutes, maybe an hour for Space Mountain. And aside from that, everything was 30 minutes at the most.
I get that.
So did you get to pull the lever like that Han does when they're going to do the jump? The one
Yes.
that's on the up above you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's not above you. It's on the control panel in front of you. And what they actually prompt you to do it. They say, okay, get ready, pull the lever, because like everything that you need to do, it like flashes. It's like hit the switch that's flashing. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I'll hit that. And then you hit the switch and then something happens. And it's like, make sure you pull the lever for hyper speed. And, you pull the lever and it's just like, and you just take off. And it's like, wow, that's cool. I mean, obviously it would more than likely take off regardless, but it does give you a sense of like being a little bit more interactive than what you might normally would be, especially when it comes to Star Tours.
Also, cool. the way it sounds interactive, it sounds similar to Mission Space here.
It does sound like
Orlando,
Mission Space. It sounds a lot. That's what I was thinking.
Where, you have 4 people on a ship. Each person has like a role, captain, an engineer, and same thing. Like your panel will light up. Okay, do this, press this now, and you press it, and kind of sounds a little similar.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you run out of places to take photos. Like you're just like, well, I don't know what else I can take a photo of, because it's like I've seen all of this, and it's just like it's massive. Like it's massive. Like you really are transported once you walk onto this property. Like you don't feel like you're at Disneyland anymore, and that's the truth. Like it's crazy.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah, ours opens up like the end of August, I think.
Yeah,
so I'm not too
soon.
far off here.
It's like 6 weeks away, 6-7 weeks,
something like that.
Which is pretty soon.
Yeah, you're definitely gonna have to do it because it's very cool.
God, it's gonna
like
be
when
so
you're just
insane.
Like the pardon me, the Millennium Falcon. Excuse me, it was crazy. Like, I mean, it's life size. Like, it's legitimately huge. It's massive, and you just kind of you can sit there and just look at it, and you're just like, wow. You expect it to take off. Like that's how detailed it really is. You're just like, man, that thing is impressive. And then I also, I don't know if I sent you photos, but I found Kylo Ren's ship. Like I missed that the first time we went through it, and then like when we were walking by, I was like, oh my god, look at that. And he's like, oh yeah, there's Kylo Ren's ship.
Right.
And then my buddy was telling me every now and then Kylo Ren will come popping out and just like walk around a little bit, and then he'll disappear back into the ship. And you're just like, what?
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I can't wait.
It's going to be great. I mean, I think my only thing is it's going to be so insanely busy for such a very long time. I think the only saving grace is that when ours opens up, that's right around the time that kids are back in school at the beginning of their semesters.
Right.
And so I'm kind of hoping that might help our crowds a smidge.
Yes,
and I do mean a smidge, because I know people basically, if they've planned to go to Disney World, they'll pull their kids out without thinking twice about it from school.
Right.
But I'm hoping that because it's so early in the school year, maybe they'll be like, they've only been in for 4 weeks. We really need to leave them in. I'll be like, oh, thank you, God. So I'm hoping that that's going to happen.
Right.
Maybe.
The only thing I can recommend is anything that you can make reservations for.
Right.
Do it. And then just follow it to a T. I mean, we made reservations for the Cantina, I was going to make reservations for the lightsaber building shop, and I opted against it, and I'm going to tell you why. You make the reservation, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll make a reservation for 6 people. And they're like, well, 6, okay, are you sure 6 are going to show up? And I'm like, well, no. I was like, okay, well, then you need to figure out exactly who's going to show up. And I'm like, okay. And it's like, because if you make a reservation for 6, you're still going to have to pay for 6 lightsabers.
Yep.
Like, whoa, really? And they're
They
like,
are
yeah.
not
I'm like,
cheap.
how much are they?
Like 200.
I thought they were
think.
like $150. They are $200 a pop to make these things.
I was gonna say there's certain accessories. We watched a YouTube video. This one guy building them. Like they can get more than 200. 200 is like baseline.
And I've thought I've also heard like that. A lot of the merch locations are apparently out of stuff, and I thought I had heard that they were out of like a lot of the kyber crystals for those. I don't know how true that is, but.
I don't know. I mean, I would not be surprised. Because that's actually one thing that I talked to my buddy about. I was like, I wonder what they run out of, because like they I mean, it was weird when we went up there and like they're like, oh, we have one opening if one person wants to go in now, and I'm like, well, no, we want to do this like later on, that type of thing. And then like when I found out how much it was, I was like, I can't. I just can't. Like, I can't bring myself to do that. Like, I'm a collector to an extent. I like all this stuff, but I'm spending $200+ on essentially a toy that's just going to sit in my closet and collect dust.
I mean, if it's going to be your only like thing, your only souvenir from your whole vacation, your whole trip, and you have a place of honor to bestow it upon so people can see it, in your home, or if you're a kid in your room, you're like, this bad boy is going above the bed. Like, I get it.
Theory
like,
style. Yeah.
Like if you're like, this is what's up. I do get that. If you're like, this is the only souvenir I'm leaving. I'm like, I'm buying anything else. I'm not even buying Mickey ice cream. I'm literally going and saving my money and I'm using it. I get that.
No, I even will attest to that as well. It's like, if this is the thing that you're doing for your trip, like this is it.
Right.
Like, I'm coming out there, like I'm coming from Idaho. I have been saving for my trip to Disneyland, to do Galaxy's Edge, to do any and everything that I possibly want and not worry about it. I get it. Mm-hmm. I live 15 minutes from Disneyland. I can't bring myself to dump $200 on it when I'm not. I'm not a 15-year-old kid, and 2, it's just like I just couldn't do it. I just was like, I'm not going to do that. Like, I can't do that. $200, no, thank you. I just couldn't do it.
Right.
Fun fact, went to a shop that was like walking into, I actually took a picture of it and I'll send that to you guys too. And you can actually see hidden the Ark of the Covenant in the store.
Nice.
Yeah. And that was a lot of fun.
That's a good little throwback. Yeah, they have stuff like that here where they have like, for if you're over by where Star Tours is, there's things there. And then if you're, oh gosh, what was it? Great Movie Ride used to have the Ark of the Covenant scene, but then they had a R2D2 3PO kind of like ingrained in one of the like little etchings on the wall.
That's right.
And so it's like they go back and forth with that throughout all their parks, I think. And I'm trying to remember what it is. So it's in Disneyland Paris. Same thing. Their Temple of Doom ride has, oh God, who is it? I think it's a Chewie is somewhere in the like the queue line for it. Like I think that's fun that Disney does that basically. Like there's Indiana Jones stuff in Star Wars stuff, and then there's Star Wars stuff in Indiana Jones stuff. And I mean, I get why they do it, and it's kind of like, but I think there's some people that be like, I don't understand. It's like, well, you see, there's this whole like Lucas Spielberg thing, and they all just love each other so much, and this is what they do. Like, it's just their thing. That's what they do. But I love it. It's like the little things like that. They're fun touches.
Cool. Well,
one day we'll have one.
Yeah, one day we'll have one of our own, and we'll be there as soon as we can.
Yeah.
So, real quick.
Well, the next time you guys come out, we definitely have to try and plan for a trip to go to Disneyland.
Yeah.
It would be a lot of fun.
Well, I've never even been to Disneyland before.
Yeah, I know. That blows my mind.
Oh, okay. Well,
I've never even stepped foot in there. I have no idea. One day. Anyway.
Okay, so real quick, Stranger Things season 3 dropped this weekend. Who all's watched it at all, or all?
I haven't finished it. I'm like 4 episodes in.
Okay.
So
I finished.
I was gonna say Bobby was done by noon July 5th.
Not that fast, but pretty fast.
I've watched 5. It's 8 episodes. I've watched 5 out of the 8.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm not done yet either.
Yep. 5 episodes.
wait, it's only 8 episodes?
It's only 8 episodes.
I think it's only 8.
It's crazy.
Oh, okay. So I'm like half done then. Jesus, I didn't know.
What did everybody? Bobby, you finished it. What did you think?
Definitely better than the second season to me. The second season had a couple lulls, and I wasn't as big a fan of some of the character choices and how they split up the group at different times. But this one I felt like had a stronger story. They're a little bit older. They're doing things that is more in line with, I think, what people love about the series in the first place, which is the characters and getting to see them develop and essentially grow up in front of our eyes. And you get a lot of that. And it's, in a sense, if you kind of think of it in the same way that you might think of the Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland, it's like you get that mix of that school activity stuff and hanging out with friends, but then you also get the element of the action, and that's what they do really well with Stranger Things. And I thought that this season very much lived up to any expectations I had, because going into it, just based off that second season, I wasn't as excited to see this next season. I just didn't know if it would get back on track for me, but it definitely did, and it had me really looking forward to see what they do with season 4.
Really? That's interesting, because I actually liked the second season, if I remember correctly. I mean, and I thought it was pretty good, decent, and I actually thought that this season was starting off a little slow.
And you said you're, like 4 episodes in, you think, Jascha?
Yeah. Actually, I'll double check to see exactly where I'm at right now.
Because I'll say this, I kind of agree. At least the first 2 episodes were a little slow.
Yeah.
And then it was like third or fourth episode, it was like, okay, it's definitely picking up. I'm more interested. Not to say I wasn't interested with the first 2. It's just, it was more an interest out of, well, I love this show in general, so I'm going to watch it. And I like these characters, but the first 2 episodes were just kind of, I don't know. Just kind of, let's get there.
That's how I feel. I feel like I was not pulled into the storyline until season 3, until the 3rd episode.
Right.
And I feel like I was like, okay, now I'm in this now. Like, I'm like, okay, you've officially won me into this. Like, the first 2 episodes are fine, but it definitely was kind of like, okay, well, still just not quite totally immersed in it yet. But then by the end of the 3rd episode, I was like, okay, guys, I'm in. Let's do this. This is awesome.
That's kind of where I was at too. Like, I mean, I'm on I just finished the 4th episode, the sauna test. And it wasn't until the 3rd and 4th episode that I was kind of like, okay, I'm really starting to get interested now. I felt that they were just slow starting, and it was kind of, it dragged for sure. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like you guys, I mean, I like the show. I love the show. I love the characters. I'm definitely going to keep going with it. And I'm going to watch it and see where this goes. But it wasn't until the 4th episode, especially when the 4th episode ended, I was like, okay, what's going on? Like, I'm really interested in hearing and seeing a little bit more of what's going on with this show. And I'm all in. I mean, I'll definitely finish it.
I will say, though, and I don't think I'm spoiling anything about season 3. I haven't even finished it myself.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it really ends. But in general, I guess, if I could have it anyway, I kind of wish with these later seasons 2 and 3, and then whatever we get from here, I wish they could have found a way to, like, each season just kind of have, these same kids, these same characters, but kind of having to deal with something different, and and in a way where
instead of the same variation of the same thing.
It's basically a variation or kind of a continuation of the same kind of problem.
It's all stemming from the same thing.
Yeah, and I don't know. I guess I wish the show could have found a way to okay, season 1 was over, and I absolutely love season 1, and then with season 2, now there's this new stranger thing that's going on, but instead it's just kind of a continuation of the original story, and I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if it's. Maybe I don't think it's quite worked for me anyway.
Yeah, maybe a different monster, but I'm with you with that because I feel like the constant threat that Will is just this odd man out and just oh yeah, when it possessed me and did this and this and always talking about Will and circling around him, and I just was like, okay, I get it, man, you're severely traumatized. I guess
yeah, it's almost like I almost wish it was it's almost like I wish Hawking Indiana itself was like the Hellmouth. There was just different things kind of happening each time, right. And season 1 we got what we got, and then season 2 is something different. And I think keeping Elle as kind of the focus of her powers and what it is cool, but then not always having the focus be on Will, maybe because each kid has their own interests and their own they all have kind of similar hobbies, but they all have their one thing that's their thing that they love. And maybe it could be this weird thing where they'd be like, oh my God, I'm the one that's knowledgeable kind of in this weird way about this thing. And that they were kind of the focus of that one. They were kind of taking the, we'll say, lead on that section, on that series. Kind of
right.
I don't know, season 2, the one kid was really into, what did he call the little Demogorgon thing? I forget.
Oh.
He named it.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember.
Anyways, he made his pet Newt or whatever. Anyways, he made his little pet, but then he kind of was the one that's knows about Demogorgons, I don't know, it'd just been cool if it was just something a little bit different instead of constantly stemming from the same problem. Let's have a new problem. For whatever reason, it's just in Buffy, it's the Hellmouth. This is just where shit goes down for whatever reason. It's the Bermuda Triangle of the world.
Right, it's of the U.S.
Of the U.S. or something. This is just where all the shit seems coming is from Hawking, Indiana. I don't know. That, I'd buy into that. I'd be like, okay, I get this. This is just apparently where shit just happens. Mm-hmm. Cool.
And I'm also curious is, and maybe I just don't remember it, but what happened to the rest of the numbers? I know we introduced this one teenage character that in season 2, and I don't remember what happened to her or what happened in that realm. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. All I'll say is I haven't watched season 2 since it dropped. And I think I binged it. And
which person is he talking about?
There was that episode where Elle goes and finds.
Oh, yeah, she died.
Yes, I don't remember.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, she died.
See, I thought it would be. I thought what we were gearing up was for is she? What number was she? 7 or something like that? Or
yeah, I think she was.
Well, this goes back to how annoyed I was with the Netflix app when I accidentally skipped the. Oh my God, it was so fucking frustrating. I'm watching. We go to watch. Finally, okay, we're gonna start watching Stranger Things in Netflix, and this is on my Apple TV app. And, it immediately goes into the, kind of previously on Stranger Things. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I'm actually want to watch this. I know, I remember the 2 seasons, but I haven't watched season 1 since it dropped or whenever I finally watched it. And then I haven't watched season 2 since it, released. And then I think I accidentally bumped the skip intro selection. And then I could not get back to it. I want to go back and actually watch that.
I want to see the recap.
There was no way to get to the recap. Anyway, side note, it was just really annoying.
No.
So I still haven't seen the recap.
But I will say, I like the intro that we have of the new character of Robin. Actress Maya Hawke. You have no idea what I'm talking about?
No, I know who you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
I'm waiting. I'm like...
No, so it's funny because I was kind of curious to see how she was going to be in this, because my introduction to her was when PBS redid Little Women not even a year ago at this point. And I'm watching her play the character of Jo in Little Women, and I'm like, oh, she just looks so much like her mom. And I'm like, she looks a lot like her mom. She has a lot of the same kind of facial features, but she has her father's mannerisms, and so you kind of pick up on it, but then she has this one look that she does, this one smirk, and she shoots it at the camera just the right way, and I'm like, there's Ethan, there it is. Like she does this face that looks just like her daddy, like this upper lip thing, and it's just like, you're just like your daddy, but you look like your mama, like you could tell. So it's really kind of cute watching her on screen. And I've really enjoyed her in this. Like, I really, from this, what I've seen thus far, like, I really like her character. Like, she's really, I don't know, she's really knowledgeable and smart, but she's also fun and she's cool. And, like, I get, like, why, I can never think of the kid's name. The one character is just like, dude, why are you not hooking up with Robin? She's amazing. And so, like, the other people are like, I don't understand. Why is he not watching her?
Right.
The other chick in the...
At the ice cream shop, yeah.
Yeah, it's Scoops
place.
Ahoy.
Okay, yeah.
That's Robin, and that is Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman's daughter, the actress.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so it's the second thing I've seen her in, and I think she's actually a really good actress, honestly. Like, I was really impressed with what I saw when she was doing Little Women, and so far I'm really liking what she's doing with this character, and I don't know. It's just kind of fun to see new people kind of get brought into the fray. And I guess, and again, maybe that'll clarify a little more, but the little girl, Erica, that stuck with them in the one episode, is that the other kid's like little sister? The 10-year-old girl?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, that's his little sister?
Yeah.
Lucas. The one getting the free ice cream.
Lucas is, yeah. Okay. Yeah. The one who's all obsessed about ice cream. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, that's his little sister. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's kind of funny because it's like now she's thrown into the fray. Now she's going to be privy to this knowledge of like, wait, what happened last year, Big Brother, that you didn't tell me about? Like, right. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Again, I'm only like 5 episodes in, so I'm still not even... I'm enjoying it. I'm having a fun time with it now that I'm in it, but it took me to the end of the 3rd episode to go, all right, sold, got me.
So yeah, I would agree. It's I can see it. Not that I've finished it, but it seems better than season 2. It's definitely not season 1 quality for me, but I think it would be hard for them to make something better than season 1 just because it was fresh and new. And,
exactly. You can't recapture that magic.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I will say that I don't disagree in that the first 2 episodes are kind of just, I wouldn't say filler. They're not, but it takes a minute for it to get all back and revved up and going.
Right.
But to your other point, though, I think I accepted what the series is probably after season 2, because I'm kind of with you there in that I wouldn't have mind seeing a completely different thing in season 2. But once you see season 2 and you see that it's continuing from season 1, and then they have the little tag ending at the end of season 2, you just kind of know that I guess that's what this whole series will be about up until it finishes, is that it's this story of this other, upside down world and trying to completely cut it off, essentially.
Right. All right. Well, anything else that anybody's watched that we want to talk about before we get to Spider-Man? Bobby, anything else you saw? I know you saw one in the movie, I believe.
I did, but before, I'll say what I saw, and then I don't want to skip over the fact that you guys went to Universal, and I want to hear about that as well. So.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, I do. So let me say what I guess I watched. Did I talk about Annabelle Comes Home?
No,
I can't remember.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Oh, is this the 3rd one in that series, right?
It is.
Okay.
And so this is the first time I've done something that I've never done before, which is I've watched the 3rd movie in a series without seeing the first 2. And I really felt like the first Annabelle, I wanted to see it, but everyone trashed it pretty bad. So I just decided to skip it. I wanted to see the second one, never got a chance to. But then this 3rd one came along, and if anyone has seen the previews, it's basically the Warrens, Ed and Lorraine, their daughter, who I can't think of the name of right now, is at home being with a babysitter while the Warrens are out. And this friend of the babysitter comes over and starts essentially exploring the house and doing things she shouldn't be doing in the room that they keep all the stuff in. And so because of that premise, I felt confident and comfortable enough going into this third movie without having seen the first two, because the first one, I guess, is just a sequel that, again, no one seemed to like. The second one is a prequel to kind of tell you how Annabelle came about in the first place. And this one just kind of continues, but it felt more in line with the Conjuring series based on the characters that are involved. So that made me feel like, okay, well, I know the Conjuring series. I've seen those, the first two movies. So let me just go ahead and jump into this. And I'll say that it's not bad. It's decent. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's almost like the Conjuring for preteens in a way, because it's kind of not as scary, not as horrific in the same way, but it has the typical kind of jump scares and that kind of thing. And the premise of it is essentially like trying to manage all these different things now. And it almost seems like they could use this as a springboard to launch other spinoffs because of some of the other things they come in contact with in this movie. So it's not bad, but I would say it doesn't live up to the level of the Conjuring movies. And it's, I guess maybe, at least in my sense, sort of on the tamer side, but not too lame in the way that it's just kind of like completely reliant on jump scares, but it's decent. It's okay.
All right.
And another movie I got to see was Yesterday.
Oh, okay.
And I actually had not too much interest in seeing it before I actually went to go watch it, because for as far as Beatles music goes, I like Beatles, but I wouldn't say I'm a huge fanatic of Beatles music, or, I know tons of stuff about Beatles history and
You're more
that
of an
kind of
Elvis person than a Beatles person. Is that what you're
thing.
saying?
I would most definitely say I'm more of a Beatles person than an Elvis person. If I had to choose between the two, check reference Public Enemy on that one. But I think with Yesterday, it's probably a really solid kind of love story told in a different twisty way. And that's what I think I appreciated about it. The music is recognizable. And the plot of the story is that this guy played by Himesh Patel, I believe his name is, and Lily James is in it as well. And he wakes up after getting hit by a bus, and there's like this power outage that happens across the entire world. And when he wakes up, he seems to be the only one who remembers the Beatles. And so he kind of goes about trying to exploit it in a way, because his own musical career hasn't taken off. And so him playing this music is revelatory to anyone who's hearing it for the first time, essentially for themselves. And so he kind of embarks on this whole journey of rise to fame because of someone else's music. And it deals with some of those issues in terms of like, is this a good thing because he's reminding people of music that's essentially been lost, or is it really just him plagiarizing? And so it kind of goes and gets into those themes a little bit. But overall, it was pretty funny, and it was, one of those kind of sweet sort of romantic comedies. And I think appreciated the humor in it more so than anything. But I would definitely recommend this one, especially if you're a Beatles fan. I imagine you'd probably get a lot more out of it even than I did, just as a casual fan, I guess. But I definitely liked it, and the performances were pretty solid.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm really interested in seeing that movie. I'm not a huge Beatles fan. There are songs that I will definitely appreciate and do appreciate that are done by the Beatles, but I've never been a huge fan. But I like the idea of the story, and I'm really definitely interested in checking it out.
Yeah, so I think it's maybe in its third week, so there should be some time still before it gets yanked out of the theaters to check it out. And I don't know in terms of what we got coming up anytime soon, but there might be some lull there to where you should be able to have a chance to probably pop in and watch that one. But the last one that I watched that I really want to talk about Well, I can't talk too much about it, but I saw Ari Aster's latest movie, Midsommar, which is, for anyone who knows what Ari Aster's last movie was, Hereditary, it has that same sort of unsettling, creepy, weird vibe to it. And Midsommar is about this couple, one played by Florence Pugh and the other by Jack Rayner, who essentially are having a rocky relationship, and they go on this trip to I want to say it's like the Netherlands or Sweden or something, and they are on there. They happen to visit the same time that they're having this sort of summer solstice, which involves this ceremony and ritual. And if you've seen the previews, things happen. I'll just say that. I don't want to say too much about the movie, but it's. I was fascinated by it. It's a little too long because it's like 2.5 hours, and I thought that could have been trimmed down. But besides that, and it kind of is a slow crawl in the beginning. It takes a little bit of time for it to really kick into gear. But I was just sitting there watching it and dumbfounded by it because I think Ari is so good at creating terrifying things out of what looks like such mundane life. And the way he frames some of the shots are just like, you think to yourself, how is this coming from this guy's head? You know, it's just very weird and creepy and unsettling in all the ways that I think a lot of today's horror movies like Us or Get Out or some of the other ones that have come out recently can do so much with just making you feel unsettled rather than just having these jump scares and everything else. And so I think that falls in line with this as well. And I've seen a lot of people name checking Wicker Man in terms of like the vibe. And I would say, yeah, that's very true in that way. And it's just one of those movies that I feel like it'll stick with you if you watch it, same way that Hereditary does. And it's funny because I went with a friend of mine, and when he wanted to go see the movie, I was already going to go see it. But then when he said he wanted to go see it, I didn't say anything to him, but I was like, I know this guy's taste. And I was like, why does he want to see this again? Because this isn't the type of movie he would enjoy. And I never questioned him openly about it. I was just like, all right, cool. I'm surprised he wants to go see it, but let's do it. And so we come out of the theater, and I was like, so what'd you think? He's like, man, I hated that movie. I was like, I figured you would, but I don't know why you wanted to see it. And he's like, because he kind of thought it was going to be a little something different than what it was. Like, he figured disturbing, but I think maybe he was thinking, I don't know, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, different, disturbing,
right,
rather than this kind of thing. And this movie, when I saw it, it was completely what I was expecting. So I was like happy coming out of it. I was like, oh, I kind of loved it. But it's kind of because I knew at least what I was getting when I was going into it and hoping that they would do with the movie and they do these things. It's not a perfect movie. There's definitely some things wrong and aspects about it that I say they could have tightened up or fixed or removed completely. But overall, it's one of the ones that I think hit that checkmark box for me as far as disturbing horror movies of the year, and in the same way that I guess Us did earlier.
Yeah, that's a movie I was hoping to fit in this weekend, but didn't quite happen. And the fun thing is I'm fascinated to see it based on everything I've heard, but I actually haven't watched a trailer for it. I've seen just kind of some still images, promotional still images, but that's it. So I don't think I'll watch a trailer. I'm just gonna go.
No, I would.
I want to go try to see it sometime this week. Yeah, with that. So wait, you wanted to hear, I guess, about our trip to Universal?
Yeah. You guys were sharing some pictures, so I was like, I didn't know if you hadn't been there in a while, and so that you kind of wanted to check out some things you hadn't seen since the last time you might have been there, or if it was just another kind of outing that you just had recently and you just were out and about.
No, it was just kind of another outing.
Okay.
Actually have annual passes to Universal. And it did a couple things this recently that I hadn't done in a while, like the Spider-Man ride, which, it was kind of the original crazy popular ride when Islands of Adventure opened, and it's still a great ride. Don't get me wrong, but, I hadn't done that in forever. It's a good ride.
Well, and what was nice is I haven't ridden Spider-Man in forever either,
Right.
but it was nice to watch it because they've updated like those little pieces. They have Stan Lee inserted in little scenes throughout the ride.
I was watching that going, was this always here? And I just didn't really notice.
Not. I've ridden that ride. I rode it enough in my 20s to know that no, Stan Lee was not initially in that ride.
Yeah, I was kind of, as the ride was going on and he was popping up, I was like, so is this like an inserted kind of thing in reaction almost to like now the MCU kind of Stan Lee thing?
I think it's in reaction to the MCU, and I think also in his passing as well.
Yeah. But, and then, there was a little thing they did in one part of the queue. Because as you're in the queue, you're like, it's like you're walking through the offices of the Daily Bugle. Yep. And there's like one desk that has kind of almost like a memorial to Stan Lee.
It's a little memorial to Stan. It was really sweet.
So that was cool.
And it was just cool going through the ride and seeing Stan kind of pop up. I'm like, oh, hey, look, there's Stan. Oh, hey, look, there's Stan.
Right. And then, cool. Did the Harry Potter stuff, which I guess you guys have it at Universal as well out there in Hollywood. But
it's different here.
It's different here. I don't know. Do you guys just Hogsmeade there with Hogwarts? Or
I actually have never done it yet, so I couldn't tell you, but I hear it's a really fun experience.
Yeah.
So I believe so, because I've been there, and I know they just opened up a second thing. And when I was there was I guess there's two rides, and one is kind of like a roller coaster, and I don't know which one that one's called. But then there was like a second one that I didn't really get a chance to sort of see what the ride aspect of it was. But I think there's just two things in there, and then of course just the different little areas and stuff of Harry Potter that's going on.
Well, here, so when they first opened Harry Potter here, it was at Islands of Adventure, and it's Hogsmeade, and Hogwarts Castle is there, and there's a ride in the castle, which is Harry Potter. I think it's Forbidden Journey, right? And now they recently, very, very recently, just opened a second major ride at that section of Harry Potter, which is Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure, which replaced a roller coaster that used to be in that part of the park.
A very beloved roller coaster.
Before it became a Harry Potter area.
Yeah.
And the wait for that has been insane. I still have not been on that ride. While we were there at one point, it was like at 210 minutes.
It was already at 2 hours at like 9:30, and the park opened at 8.
Right.
It's so everybody's loving it, and it's the new thing. So of course it's insane. But I would like to ride it at some point. One day I'll make it out there when the park opens, and I will just run straight to that ride. And hopefully get to ride it.
And then somewhat more recently, they opened a second section over in the Universal Studios side, which is Diagon Alley. And they've connected the two with the Hogwarts Express. So as long as you have a 2-park ticket, you can then, basically go into the other park via the train, which is really cool.
It is really quick and efficient and nice.
And it's a slightly different experience if you ride the train from one direction versus the other direction.
Right.
It's a really awesome idea how they've kind of put a Harry Potter land in both parks and connected them that way.
I like it. It's nice.
It was pretty smart.
I will say
over there, Diagon Alley is Gringotts, a ride for Gringotts, which sadly I have still not been on. We were there, and I was there with my kids, and they couldn't both ride that, so I still haven't been on Gringotts.
I was just gonna say, what I like is over at Islands of Adventure where they have Hogsmeade. It's like being in Hogsmeade. It's really immersive and really great. But I will say the Diagon Alley section over on the Universal Studios side, I think is even better. It is very immersive. It's like what Jascha was saying about how Galaxy's Edge is. Honestly, you feel like you're in Diagon Alley. It's the shops, the detailing, it's amazing. And then the things you can do if you decide to invest in getting a wand. you can perform magic in these two parks. Like, it's amazing. Like, that's awesome. Like, you can do magic if you purchase the wand. And I'll be honest, there's a part of me that kind of wants to buy a wand.
Right.
I want to do the cool things. Like, it looks like a lot of fun, and I think it adds a level to your experience being in these parks. But man, I love both sections very much. But I will say, Diagon Alley there's something about it. Like, it makes you feel like you are in England. Like, it makes you feel like you are in Harry Potter's world. You're going to purchase your books for school. It's amazing. It really is. I like it a lot.
Yeah, no, I like it a lot too.
Makes me happy.
So I did see the ones that they have at Universal Studios Hollywood, and the two that I got on were the Flight of the Hippogriff.
Okay, yeah.
And then the other one was the one that you mentioned, the Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey.
Right.
Right. That's the one's inside Hogwarts Castle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's an excellent ride. I haven't been on that in a little while.
It really is good.
But I remember when I first rode it, and I mean, I forget what year they opened that attraction, and I remember riding it going, wow. Like, sadly, I don't think I had seen Disney do a ride like at that quality in a while. Now, of course, now they have Galaxy's Edge, and those rides are, supposed to be pretty amazing, as you know, Jascha, at least with one of them. But yeah, no, Forbidden Journey is excellent.
Forbidden Journey is an excellent ride, and I'm looking forward to riding Hagrid's motorbike, and I'm looking forward to Escape from Gringotts. I really am. I've heard they are very, very good rides, and I can't wait. One day it'll happen.
One day.
One day. But back to Spider-Man.
But Jascha, have you watched anything else real quick that you wanted to bring up before we talk about Spider-Man, or are we good to move on?
No, I think we're good to move on. I was trying to take a look here and see if there's anything that I've gotten a chance to watch that I haven't touched on, and I think I'm all caught up.
I did forget one real quick thing is I'm 3 episodes into the final season of Jessica Jones, and so far I'm enjoying it, even knowing that it's the last season. So I do like it so far.
I finished that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool. Good.
Is it
better? Is it better than season 2? I know people were very disappointed with season 2.
I was pretty disappointed with season 2. I wasn't super thrilled with season 3 either. It just, it got a little campy and a little corny for me at the end, and I felt like maybe I just lost interest because I knew that they weren't going to be doing another one. But I did finish it. It was okay. It wasn't the best. By far, the best has been season 1. Like, season 1 was surreal.
Season 1
was
like
such a good show. Yeah. But it was better, I think, than the second season. But it was good. It was fine. A nice little ending and wrap up, I guess you could say. But all in all, it's is it over? They had some throw-ins there that I don't think they necessarily needed. But it was fine. I mean, I wasn't super sold on it, super into it, I guess. It's the best way I can say.
Now, as a whole, is all of this going over to the Disney streaming service, the Defenders, basically? Are they heading over there, or is it just done at Netflix? So it's just over?
I don't know if they've actually released any information of what they're going to do with the characters. I know that there's been a lot of talk, hopefully people wanting for Daredevil to continue, because Daredevil is really the one that I feel can continue with its story. I mean, Iron Fist can continue, but does anybody really want it to continue? Is it going to get a following, or are they just going to dump money into the
unfortunately,
it's just not going to get watched?
Unfortunately, the first season of Iron Fist pooped the bed, and so people aren't. I think that's going to be a hard one to revive. But people love Daredevil, and Daredevil's done so well. And I really enjoyed Jessica Jones a lot, and I like Luke Cage, and I enjoyed the Defenders. Like, I am happy with them, and I would like to see them continue on, but it sounds like it's basically dead over at Netflix. And so I'm wondering, is Disney going to take them up, or is it just done?
I mean, maybe you know better, Bobby, than I do, but I know nothing's been officially announced, I don't think, kind of like what you just said, Jascha. I know the rumor out there, and it seems like it makes sense. Like, if they were to come back and they're kind of current form, which is basically an R-rated form, it'd probably be on Hulu and not on like Disney Plus.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Since it doesn't seem like they're going to bring any of that kind of like rated kind of content to Disney Plus, but I don't know. Maybe you know better than me, Bobby.
Yeah, basically all I've heard about it is that because of the contracts and the deals that they sign, Netflix has the rights to it to where they can't bring it back right away. So by the time they could bring it back, it wouldn't be the same actors portraying those characters.
Right.
So they can still use those characters, but it will probably be different actors based on the fact that I'm sure those actors will have booked different roles, and some of them already have booked different roles in the interim. So, yeah, pretty much you'll see those characters again in some form or fashion, but
probably not
where they'll end up.
soon.
Yeah, not anytime soon.
And that's going to do it for this episode. As always, we'd love to hear back from everyone listening and watching. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can leave a question or comment below in the comments section, or you can always email us at feedback@flickereffect.com. And don't forget, if you would like to listen to our thoughts on Spider-Man Far From Home, make sure to check out part 2 of this episode. And that's where we share our spoiler-free thoughts, and then we get into some spoilers later in the episode. So make sure to check that out. With that, thanks for listening and watching.